Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much. Welcome to this Civic Leadership Forum. I'm so honored to be your moderator today. My name is Diana Ding, the founder of Silicon Valley Community Media, a grassroots entrepreneur, and Ding Ding TV. Today we're going to talk about we are all Americans. This is a great topic. So let me give you a little background about this Civic Leadership Forum, Silicon Valley. Civic Leadership Forum was started by Mr. Sandy Chow, a well-respected philanthropist and the founder of Civic Leadership USA, and is presented by Silicon Valley Community Media, Ding Ding TV, since 2017. Over 2,000 community leaders have participated in this forum. The contents from the forum have reached over 200,000 people in Silicon Valley and United States. The forum provided a platform to empower civic engagement and civic leadership in Asian American community while creating the national network of civic-minded organizations and leaders to work together. Today's topic is we are all Americans. Our country is getting more divided. We're losing sight of what makes our country great. We are the country of immigrants, collectively creating the American dream with the best and brightest people from all around the world. As we are getting more xenophobic and the intolerance of newcomers, we're losing our competitive edge. When Asian hate crimes and gun violence continue to rise, we're calling our community members to come together to demand systemic changes and building the bridge through understanding and appreciate our differences. My friend Joe Wang, and also the president of National Asian American PAC, editor of Silicon Valley Community Media, recently wrote a poem. This poem is exactly reflecting the theme of today, we are all Americans. Next, I'm going to invite Joe Wang to recite his poem, All of Us Belong Right Here.
I'm going to read my poem, and I want all of you to join us on the chorus. The chorus is very simple. It says, you belong, I belong. You and I belong right here. He belongs, she belongs, all of us belong right here. It goes like, you belong, I belong, all of you and I belong right here. He belongs, she belongs, all of us belong right here. Let's practice this one. You belong, I belong, you and I belong right here. He belongs, she belongs, all of us belong right here. America is great because we're diverse. We hail from every corner of our universe. Some are native born right here. The European came to breathe the free air. Some were uprooted from Africa, still urging us to be more fair. Some came here looking for gold, but ended up working on the railroad. You belong, I belong, you and I belong right here. He belongs, she belongs, all of us belong right here. Some came here as laborers on the farm, others defended a country bearing arms. From every direction, it seems, each one seeking their own dream. Together we build our industries and establish great university. We live and preach free enterprises. Our financial system is the finest. You belong, I belong, you and I belong right here. of us
belong right here.
We promise prosperity and good health, but squabble over sharing our wealth. We preach democracy in earnest, falling short, but trying our darndest. Our country will not be united until we learn to share the credit, to be fair and equitable, respecting everyone as our equal. You belong, I belong,
You and I belong right here. He belongs, she belongs.
all of us
Us belong right here.
white, black, yellow, red, or brown. We share the same human background. We try hard, but we won't get there until we treat everyone equally and fair. America can lead the world. We look like every part of our world. So let's stay united and be of good cheer. All of us belong right here.
You belong, I belong. You and I belong right here. He belongs, she belongs. All of us belong right here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Wonderful. Yes. You belong, I belong. You and I belong right here. He belongs, she belongs. All of us belong right here. That's why we are all Americans. So next, we're going to start our panel. Each panel will have 5 to 6 minutes to answer the question and also share their, what does this "we are all Americans" means to them. Let's start with Nancy Tong. Nancy Tong is a Deputy California Attorney General, and she's a trial prosecutor and a former Deputy California Attorney General. So Nancy, the question for you is, when Asian hate crime and gun violence continue to rise, we know that all the communities of color suffer when the root causes of violence remain unaddressed. So what the legislators can do for the systemic change? Thank you.
Well, thank you for that question, Diana. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy Tong, and I'm so honored to be here tonight. So first, I'd like to say what it means to be an American, as each of the panelists will do tonight as well. My parents, like many others here, immigrated to the United States to build a better life for their children. They had 4 children. We grew up in the South and then eventually immigrated to California. So one of my first memories of what it meant to be an American was when my father took his American passport out and said that when he went back to Taiwan the next week, he would proudly hold his passport in front of him as he marched in a democracy march in a foreign country. His American passport meant that he had freedom to speak, not just in America, but also in another country, the country of his birth. That which he could not do before he was an American. And for me personally, it means something a little bit different because I was born here, and in my chosen profession, I've been a career prosecutor, defending the Constitution of the United States and the state of California for the last 22 years. But there was a moment in court where somebody questioned whether or not I was an American. When I was in a courtroom arraigning a man who had been stalking several dozen people, making them afraid for their lives, making them fearful for their safety and the safety of their family, he turned to me and said, "Why don't you go back to your own country?" And if you are an immigrant and it shows that your national origin is not European on your face, you may have been subjected to something like this. before in your lifetime. And I will say that being an American, to me, means defending the principles of our Constitution, the principles of freedom, and the principles of what is right and just, no matter what other people might say to you. It is a pledge that I've taken as a prosecutor. It is a pledge that I live every day in the way that I conduct myself. And so to be an American means to stand up for freedom. Now, with respect to Asian hate crimes and gun violence, I think that when we look at the way that hate crimes are described in the legislation, in the penal code, we really need to take a look at what it means and what we're actually trying to address. We're not really talking about necessarily hate crimes, but really racially motivated crimes. Because a person might be selected because of their race to be a target of crime, but not necessarily because of hate, but because of certain stereotypes that maybe in the Asian community people think that you carry a lot of money, or that you won't fight back, or that you're weak, or that because you don't speak the language, it's not your native tongue, that you may not make a police report. So in this regard, I think that we need to strengthen the legislation on the state level to change the definition of a hate crime, to make it more clear that we're talking about racially motivated crimes, and to address that issue. In terms of gun violence, which affects all communities, we need to make sure that we address the root issues of violence by supporting violence intervention programs at the state level, that we strengthen our gun laws nationally, and that when we talk about the root issues around violence and crime, that we are really supporting our educational system. Because if you don't provide education on the same level for all communities, then we can only expect to see more violence and more crime in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. So our next question will be for Yang Shao, the city council from Fremont and former mayor. And Yang Shao is also he got his doctorate degree from Harvard. So the question for you is, Asian Americans have been characterized as the model minorities. What are the pros and cons of being the model minorities?
Thank you. I'm so glad that I'm joined with Mayor of Fremont, Lily May, and also fellow council member Teresa Ken. I'm so glad to be here. I was born in China, came to the United States, and got my PhD degree at Harvard in chemistry, and here I am. Sure, there's something that I like and something I don't like about characterizing Asian as a group, as the model minority. First of all, let me tell you what I like about this statement. Model, meaning we're successful. And that is certainly affirmation and compliment on our achievements. We work hard, and we thrive, and we excel. And if you look at the average income, average education of Asian populations in the United States, it's above state average. On the other hand, the crime rate was very low, and I came from Alameda County, and in Alameda County, guess what? Of all the homeless population, Asian only count for 2%. It's almost none, because we, in our culture, tend to take care of our family members in difficulty, in hardship. And we also try not to create burdens to other people as part of our culture. So, of course, I'm glad that we as Asian, we work hard and we follow the rules, we follow the law, and we thrive in this country. And that's something good about it. Something about the minority is also something I like it, because over here, we are the minority. To some point, people forget we're minority. You know, I remember Mayor May told me that in the League of Cities, National League of Cities, in one meeting, she challenged the speaker by saying, am I in the minority? And the speaker declined to comment because they were thinking, oh, by being a minority, that means you're poor, you're doing, you need help. So, since you're Asian, you're successful. Why do you still call yourself minority? Let me remind you, in California, among all the mayors, city council members, API only count for about 1.5%. So we're not well represented, in that level. If you look at the state legislature, and sure, we're still underrepresented. So I believe by identifying us as a minority, it is very good for us to try to understand that we need our representation at all levels. I will also say Asian is an inconvenient minority because you have heard the theory promoted by certain groups like critical race theory, attributing all social problems to race. Meaning like, oh, you can blame systematic discrimination on this and that. But when it comes to Asian, it's very hard for them to use Asian to support that theory. Because we are the group that didn't need politics to succeed. We work hard and we believe on meritocracy and fair play. We follow the rules. So in that case, I believe by not identifying Asian as a minority and put discrimination against us, that's wrong. My alma mater, Harvard University, has been discriminating Asian applicants for college application, and that's wrong. And they're being sued right now. And I believe justice should be served for all those applicants, especially Asian applicants. Also, you look at all the legislation, in California, all the new laws and stuff, and they were promoting a lot of bills that would increase the crime and deprive the fair education opportunities of the Asian people, such as Proposition 16 or AKA ACA 5 or SCA 5. And these are the systematic discrimination on Asian that we have to be aware of. Last year, we had an event in Fremont calling for Stop Anti-Asian Hate. And some legislators showed up, and they pretend to support our cause. And I was like, are you kidding me? The bill you're authoring in Sacramento is actually discriminating against Asians because we rely on fair educational opportunities. We rely on public security. And your bill will destroy that. And for that, we need more legislators that would represent the Asian value in Sacramento. And for that, I would like you to support Mayor May, who is right now running for state senate and is leading in the primary to eventually go to Sacramento and represent our values. One thing I don't like about calling Asian a model minority is that it uses a broad brush and then didn't include certain ethnic groups like Hmong groups and others, and taking for granted everyone was the same. I hate, and I emphasize, I hate identity politics. And I believe in a fair ground where people are judged not by their skin color, their nationality, but their characters. That's what Martin Luther King Jr. told us. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang. Thank you so much. Yeah, a little bit over 5 minutes. Okay, but that's okay. That's fine. Okay, thank you. Yes, we are old friends for many years. So yeah, you mentioned about Lily May. Yeah, we're so proud, and we know each other for nearly 20 years. I used to teach her daughter when her daughter was very small, but she, as a parent at that time, she's really special and outstanding. Not like all the other Asian parents just standing there and sending their kids there. She's always coming to help. She's always there, ready to help. So I paid attention and noticed her from then. She never changed. 20 years, she's always young and beautiful. Yes, so next the question will be for our Mayor Lily May and also the front runner for California State Senator. The question is, what Asian cultural traits can you contribute to the United States to make our country even greater? And you will start with, what does "we are all Americans" mean to you? Thank you.
Sure. So good afternoon. 大家好，我是弗里蒙市长高旭佳. So good afternoon. I'm Mayor Lily May from the city of Fremont. And actually, I think what we talk about, what are we as Americans? So I was born in Chicago, and I grew up in Philadelphia, which is the city of brotherly love and sisterly love. And so I feel very fortunate. I feel that what we can do as Americans and as Chinese Americans, for myself, is not just identity politics, but when I just came from San Francisco, and I apologize for running late, I was just celebrating a festival with the Indian culture up there. And I think that's what we can bring, is that when I look behind me, we look at the bridge. And when I was growing up and I visited Taiwan, people would say, oh, she's just American. Or when I was growing up, they asked me, where are you from? But I think what you have the opportunity in this community is to bring the strengths and the values that are shared between one another. There are so many different ways that we can build our communities. We talked about education, we talked about jobs, and we talked about how we can bring people together, family values, or bringing people together to celebrate the cultures and richnesses. And one of the things that from the Asian culture we can do is to bring strength and unity and not divide us. My mom would tell me when I was little, it's very important who you pick as friends. It's so much easier if someone's on the top of the table for someone to pull you down than you to pull someone up. So it's important for us to work with one another. And it means that where we have opportunities, whether it's here in our own communities through ethnic and faith-based leaders or through committees that I serve on, along with Shang Tao and so many other people through League of California Cities on housing, on transportation, we recognize that when we work on projects together and we get the buy-in of the community, we are more capable of delivering success, because it's not one situation where we feel that one group is more important than one another. It's how we can together achieve those accomplishments. And so I know that Diana was talking about my children, and I'm very blessed. I have 2 MIFs made in Fremont, and they are now 25 and 21. But as a parent, that's one of the things that I thought was really important. It is hard. When I was growing up, I grew up at the end of the Vietnam War era, and so I've been stuffed in lockers. I've had many things directly because people were frustrated with the Vietnam War and not recognizing that I am not the contributor to that factor. It's also where we as a leader right now can speak up. We have one of the largest Afghan populations, and when we needed that help within our community, I can't tell you how appreciative I am from all the members of our community and neighboring communities to be able to raise $440,000 to welcome immigrants in recognition of how difficult it is for people to be able to make that transition. It means also when we, as the U.S. Conference of Mayors, decided to talk about what's American and standing together, recently what you saw happening in Ukraine is an outrage. And we stood as mayors to make a statement. But I also appreciate Mayor Liccardo and I stood up and asked a question at the time. When we signed that resolution, we wanted people to understand we're upset with what the Russian government is doing to the Ukrainians, not the Russian people. And that was some important delineation. And so those are the things that we can bring, whether as Americans who are growing up here or abroad, how we can bring the community together and we can strengthen one another. It's truly a situation where I've discovered, whether it's, again, as what we mentioned, I appreciate Yang for letting people know that I'm standing for state senate, but that's part of why I wanted to run, is because when you've experienced things through the schools, as a parent, as a young graduate, trying to purchase your first house, and dealing with student loans. And now, even at this point now where I'm in the sandwich generation, I have elderly parents, and myself and almost qualified, I have my ARP card. So when you're looking at all that and how do you transition, each of these life experiences is what I think a lot of what we've learned about in the Asian culture. When people can cast you as the problem, and we had in the pandemic, I'm sad to say that when I first put out fact sheets, some people called me a communist, some people asked if I was a spy, some people asked if I was trying to destabilize the economy. But what we did in that moment is rather than get mad, to show that we really are a partner. We came together, we collected supplies, we helped deliver. I know Councilmember Shao and Councilmember Kang and I, along with different agencies and community leaders, came together to deliver PPE, to deliver support. So that is what we can do. We can take the philosophies that my mom and others taught us, that one chopstick is easy to break, but a bundle is hard to break because they are together and united. And so that's what we can do as a community. These are some of the values that we can share. And that's how we can prove that truly we are all Americans. This is not about API history. This is about American history, and we are part of the fabric that makes it so rich. So thank you for the time, and I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lily. Mayor Lily May. Always so calm, but very powerful with strength. And we have 3 great women leaders here. So next, I'm going to invite Chantal, Oakland Council member. And Chantal is well known as creative and effective leaders. But a successful leader like you, have you ever faced racial discrimination, and how did you handle that? And what's your suggestions?
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? My name is Shang Tao, and I'm a council president pro tem in the city of Oakland. And I'm going to answer the first question first, the question around what does it mean to be Asian American? And for me, what it means is capturing the American dream. What is the American dream? I think the great example are my parents. They were refugees from the Civic War. They were landed here in the United States, 1979. And they were given a new opportunity in a new world, but not enough resources. But through them and us as the kids of the refugee parents, it was incredibly important that we had safe spaces, we have good education, so that we as their offspring can make a difference for our next generation. That to me is the American dream, and that's what makes us all American, because we, at one point or another, can have that access. It's not equal access, but it's access. And so going back to the second question is, have I ever been discriminated against? Yes. That's an easy yes, and it's continuous. It doesn't ever stop. I was discriminated against when I was a young child because everybody knew I was poor. I didn't have the cool clothes or the shoes, and I looked different, and I talked different, and I ate different smelling foods. And for me, it was very traumatizing because when you are picked on and when you are made to feel like you are less than a human, than other people, it's a terrible feeling. It's more than being bullied. You're being bullied for who you are. It's racism, right? And so continuing on as an adult, you think that people would grow up and be more mature and change and understand each other as humans, but it doesn't. It doesn't truly change. As a candidate for City Council in 2018, as I'm knocking on doors, I represent the most affluent, more wider neighborhoods, and as I knock on doors, all of a sudden, my white counterpart who opens the door, all of a sudden has an Asian accent. I say, hi, my name is Shang Tao, and I sound just like this. And they say, oh, hello. That is not okay. I mean, this is happening to this day. This is crazy. And so how do I deal with that? How I deal with that is you stay calm and you educate, right? It's not our job to teach them, but I always say, hey, if your mom and dad didn't teach you better, I guess I'll have to, right? And so that's the constant education. And we have to understand that this is not only within the Asian community, it's in all other communities as well too. And that's why we have to work together to the point of what Mayor Lily May has stated earlier. when we come together and we learn about each other's differences in our background, we have way more in common. People of color have way more in common. We go through the same oppression and suppression. And when we work together, we can understand each other better. And not just that, but build a better and stronger life for all of us. To educate each other so that the racism, the ignorance, right? The blatant ignorance. People just want to be ignorant sometimes because they can and they want to be, out of thinking that they are superior than us. And so discrimination, in my mind, it never ends. It never ends, but we must be cognizant of what it is. And it is up to us to make sure that we build the bridge for representation, like Yang Xiao just stated. For me, it is very important that I'm the first Hmong American woman council member in the state of California, and I am not the last. And I'm going to be the first Hmong person in the nation to be mayor of a big city like Oakland, and I will not be the last. And I will make sure of that because I am also building a bench along with your support, because that's how we get it done. We get it done by supporting each other. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. We're so proud of you. You know, we all experienced racial discrimination. Each one of us, I would say. I remember when I first came to the United States, and I think after 5 or 6 years, and someone asked me, where are you come from? I said, from Sunnyvale. He said, I mean, where are you originally come from? I said, so what does that matters to you? What does that mean? And I said, why you ask the question? And he said, because you speak English with an accent. So that's what I told him. I said, I speak English with an accent. It's because I'm bilingual. Or even trilingual. That's where the accent come from. I think it's really, a long way, and so proud of each one of you. Thank you so much, Chantal. And next, I would like to invite Raymond Bonaventure, Daly City Vice Mayor. And thank you. So the question for you is, how can minorities, Asian, Blacks, Hispanic, Jew, LGBTQ, work together to empower ourselves?
Thank you very much. First, I want to acknowledge Mayor Willie Brown for being here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Beach as well, and Louis Lam for hosting our event today. I want to say that, first of all, why we are here and the theme of it, and that statement, we are all Americans, is something that I really, truly love, that you entitled this event, We Are All Americans. Because it's a true statement. That's who we all are. We are all Americans. We are here because we love this country, because this is where we want to be, and because this is the land of opportunity for everybody. And so I think it rings true to a lot of us here as to why there is a need to highlight that and to make sure we all are included in the discussion and the real meaning of being an American. Now, my question, was specific in that I was asked, how can the minorities work together to empower ourselves? And I think that's an important question to answer when it comes to addressing the issue and the statement of, we are all Americans. For me, I think it comes down to 5 things. Number 1 is making and having an understanding that you really cannot go at this alone. If you truly understand that concept, that you are better off with allies, rather than trying to fight something on your own and without any help, then you'll miss the boat. You'll miss the real idea of what America is about, and that is working together, working with each other. I'll also say that I think sometimes we get into this bubble of thinking, the Chinese have one issue, the Hispanics have one issue, the Jewish people have a different issue. They may have issues, but I think there are more issues that we can find common ground on. And that is, I think, our mission is to find what common ground we have with each other. And that will build our alliances, and that will build our allies. And also, the third thing I would say is about being inclusive and inviting people. Again, we sometimes get into this bubble and thinking, okay, we can just sort of do it on our own. We don't have to invite anybody else. We'll just get together and we can empower ourselves. I don't believe that. I do believe in the power of multiple alliances, multiple groups, and inviting everybody to the table. The other thing is, I think it's necessary and important that we all try to understand everyone's culture. That could mean everything from trying out their food, or going to their community events, or trying how to dance like they do. Anything you can to try to understand and immerse yourself in that culture. And then finally, I would say have a plan. Have a plan of working together. And when you work together, don't look for trying to get any credit for it. Just do it. Work together towards a common goal, and don't worry about who gets the credit for what. Because in the end, it will be beneficial to everybody. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Raymond. Yes, well said, wonderful. That's really, truly amazing. And, you remind me about, I remember someone said, don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do to your country. I think that's why we're here together. Someone called this the winner's party. I would say everybody's winner because we're willing to contribute. And we have so many great leaders, especially Asian American leaders. So once more, let's give our hands to them. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Next, I would like to invite my good friend and also a mentor for me, Joe Wang, and give a summary of today's panel discussion in 3 minutes. Joe, go ahead.
Thank you all for coming, and thank our excellent panel for 5 tough questions and many, many good answers. I would like to thank all the sponsors of this event, Ding Ding TV, Civic Leadership USA,
American TeoChow Foundation.
I'd like to summarize by reciting the first 2 lines and the last 2 lines of my poem. Then, if you still remember, we'll sing the chorus once more. America is great because we are diverse. We came from all corners of our universe. So let's stay united and be of good cheer. All of us belong right here. So the chorus goes, you belong, I belong. You and I belong right here. He belongs, she belongs, all of us belong right here.
Thank you so much once more. And let's give our hands to all of them again. Thank you. You enjoyed our panel discussion? Thank you so much, yes. You belong, I belong. You and I belong right here. He belongs and she belongs. All of us belong right here. Thank you. And next, I'm going to invite our singer, Jamie Shao, here to sing national anthem. So I would invite everybody, please, would you please stand up, and we're going to sing national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red flare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet whole of the rave.
First of all, I would like to recognize today's dinner is sponsored by American TeoChow Foundation and co-sponsored by the Society of Chinese American Physician Entrepreneurs, Reliance Charity Foundation, Sino-American Partnership Association, Silicon Valley Community Media, Ding Ding TV. So while we're eating here, and I would like to invite Louis Lam together with Governor Willie Brown to the stage. On last Wednesday, on June the 8th, when we had that election, and Louis Lam sent me a WeChat message during the midnight. He said, "I feel I want to cry." Can you believe that Louis want to cry? You know, I know that there are so many stories behind that, so many sleepless nights, and fighting with people, with so many friends here together, and let our voice be heard. So Willis, I'm so glad that today you're here with smiling instead of crying. And thank you so much, Mr. Brown, you're here. So I'm going to give the microphone to you first, and then Pastor Willis, Louis.
Let me say that I am delighted to be present and to be able to just sit and listen to people who are clearly extraordinarily talented, well steeped in every aspect of what they are pursuing. The foundation of their comments were obviously rooted in things that really ought to be spread throughout this nation. And I am just delighted that each of them have chosen the profession that I dearly love. The time period that I spent holding public office, and in one manner or another, impacting public office, I was always highly driven to make sure that somebody would replace me who would be equal to, if not better than. And on this occasion, there were 5 people here tonight, all of whom fit appropriately in the category of equal to, if not better than. That means that this country, this city, this county, this section of where we all live, we are indeed fortunate to have such a great amount of talent that can actually put their message in place in 5 minutes. I was blown away how disciplined each of them were as they outlined a response to an appropriate question put to them by the moderator. It was very impressive, and I hope as you put together and edited the video presentation and the audio presentation, it'll be made available to school children all over this country. It is impressive, and believe me, quality, impressiveness is absolutely necessary, because I suspect that many of you watched with incredible amount of focused attention what occurred in the hearings involving January 6th. Nothing was in greater contrast between what occurred on January 6th and what occurred on this stage. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.